Welcome to Undercomplicating Stuff, where we, two psychologists with over 40 years of combined experience, share our insights to help undercomplicate important topics. A friendly reminder as we get started that this video is meant for conversational and entertainment purposes only. Please see the information in the description of this video for more resources. So before we get started, Stacey, would you like to do an introduction?
Sure. Thanks, Julie. I'm Stacey Gedeon. I'm a health psychologist. I do speaking engagements and have my own healthcare consulting and professional coaching business. And how about for you, Julie?
I'm Julie Radico, also a psychologist, a coach. I do consulting as well as also writing and speaking. And jumping right into our question for
Sure.
today, I love this question. How do you deal with your yes, but thinking? So, like Stacey, start us off. What would you say to that?
It's so common, and I think examples really bring it to life. So it might be something like, oh, I exercised every day this week, but I fell off my meal plan. And so I'm not even enjoying the fact that I accomplished these things. And so I'm kind of bringing things down on myself versus really acknowledging what I've done and what I've accomplished. And I'm guessing you as well have heard this as well as experienced it from clients and people that you coach and see for therapy. In what ways has it come up for you?
Yeah, I love your call to have experienced it as well. Yes, so guaranteed hear this from clients all the time. If you're listening to this and you're like, "Oh, I resonate with this. I do this." Welcome to the club.
Yep.
And I have done this in my life. Especially when we are focusing in like achievement areas in
Yeah.
our lives, or how we're going to evaluate ourselves, or we feel like we need to live up to expectations, the yes buts can run
Mhm.
rampant. And some examples, one of my go-tos is because I think, everybody's gone to school. So, and for the most part, right, like we are evaluated in school by our grades. And a crystallized example of the yes but, or another jargony way of thinking about this is discounting the positive. So there's
Mhm.
something positive that happens and you're knocking it down. You're going, yeah, this is great. Oh, but it's not good enough.
Mhm.
Is an exam. So you need to get 100 to be perfect. And like that's perfection, right? We usually don't always achieve that, but we think we need to. Say you get a 95. You're like, really kicking butt on this exam, and your thoughts tell you, yeah, I got a 95, I still got an A or an A plus, but it wasn't 100. It wasn't good enough. I got that A plus, but it wasn't 100. Like it wasn't perfection.
Yeah.
That I hear people talk about in lots of different ways in their careers and their like, just the harsh expectations that we have for ourselves, and in the insidious way that it makes
Mm.
us then not be able to sit back and enjoy the things that we are doing well.
And then how does one, taking that example, how does one stay motivated and progress? If you're waiting for the big thing
Mm,
and you're not appreciating the smaller things and internalizing the successes and the joy, that can really deflate motivation.
mm,
And if you're waiting, well, but once I achieve this thing,
mm,
versus acknowledging and enjoying what you're already doing to get there, what you already have accomplished, it's not really helpful.
mm,
We've also talked before, though, about in our talks, sort of where do these things come from? And so one thing, it's usually from our ancestors and it's meant towards survival. So, um, for a long time, we're geared to survive. And so we might overestimate negative things or kind of always be aware of where there could be threats or dangers. And you've probably also heard some people say, well, but if I don't continue to strive and if I accept that this is good enough, I won't excel and I need that to keep myself going. And I'm wondering what you would say to somebody who has sort of that mindset.
Oh, yes. Yes. This sort of shame and guilt as a motivator mindset. If
Mhm.
I don't beat myself up, then I'm just going to be complacent and stop and not achieve all that I could.
Right.
I think that is such normalized, but insidious, negative fuel. And thinking about, like you can motivate yourself by guilting yourself into doing something. You might have learned that from your parents who were trying to do their best to support you and motivate you, but they didn't know how else to do it
Mhm.
other than, like you'll get my praise if you achieve good things, but if not, I'll withhold it.
Right.
And there's research on this that like if you reinforce and there's we could get way in the weeds as psychologists and nerds about that reinforcement both positive and negative is good. Punishment is not.
Mm.
So positive reinforcement is you're giving something positive to somebody to keep them going, and negative reinforcement is you're taking something bad away that keeps them going. So it makes you continue that behavior. But punishment in this like shaming ourselves and going, well, I'm not going to let myself reinforce myself. I'm not going to let myself enjoy these moments because then I'll get complacent and not be satisfied. Like that is just we know from research that punishment not a good way to increase a behavior or to permanently change a behavior. It is just like a crappy way of making ourselves get stuck in patterns that are unhealthy. Like, I'm curious, like what other stuff comes to mind for you as we dig into this?
You know, again, it can be helpful, but I think like anything overused is where we see it as a problem. Or if it's so internalized that we can only feel successful, experience happiness, experience joy if things are done, to the nth degree. And some people really kind of struggle with what to do with that. And some strategies that can be helpful is even just, and this is a theme in our talks, our videos, is noticing it. So, do you even notice that that's happening? Does that come up for you that you realize? You are discounting the positive and taking, the maybe one negative comment or feedback on something, and that tends to be what we focus on. And one thing it's adjacent is also considering the source of that. So let's take it to a different direction, a workplace
Hmm.
and you get feedback about something, usually if it's from somebody you respect, um, it's something that you might take a little bit more seriously, but it
Hmm.
also doesn't undermine all of the good things. So, performance reviews, let's say this might come up. And so, also, even if you're the one doing the performance review or evaluation, being mindful of that people are going to tend to hone in on
Hmm.
that one negative. Yeah. How about for you?
Yeah.
What else comes up?
I mean, you're naming just what we do as human beings. It's hard to be okay with that everything's okay, that we did a good enough job, or to really allow ourselves to let the positive sink in from the feedback that we get from the evaluations and performance reviews. I think part of that is because of what we're talking about, this pattern of we learn to mold ourselves maybe from a young age in a really like unhealthy way of, well, if I keep telling myself it's not good enough and I can always be better and I can always do better, like that might help with a learning curve, but it also sets you up to yes, but everything to
Yeah.
go, oh, that was good. Like I got my 95 or like I did eat healthy this week. Oh, but I had that piece of candy and so that, like just screw it all, threw me off and now it's not good enough. Like those that kind of thinking, like those thoughts really steal our motivation. And as we think about like what might you do, I love the concept that you're talking about of like noticing it and naming it. So we want to recognize that we're falling into these kind of thinking traps. I would add to that, if it's hard, because I hear this from clients all the time, if it's hard to have compassion for yourself, then I would encourage if you notice that you might have just done a yes but, or you achieve something good but you're feeling crappy and you're like, I don't know why, and I'm able to then pull out my thought that I just said a yes but. Think about what you would say to somebody you cared about.
Mhm.
If somebody came to you and said, "Oh, Stacey, I got a 95 on this, exam, and I really, I don't think it was good enough. Like it was a 95, but it wasn't 100." I imagine that if you are a kind person, which I know you to be, and I'm assuming most people are, you're not going to be like, "Yeah, you totally suck. 95 is not good enough. I don't know why you even try. You should just give up. Like you're going to fail. You're awful." Like, no, 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 right? Like that's not what we do. But for some reason, like we wouldn't say that to another person, but we would
Right.
say it to ourselves. So
Yep.
notice that. Ask yourself, if I step outside of me thinking about me right now, and I had a loved one come to me, my kid, my friend, my partner, whoever it is, and they said, "Oh, I don't think this is good enough." Like, yeah, it's fine, but it's not good enough. What would you say to them? How would you help them? But the buts. How would
Right.
you help them not have that negative but, the yes but, not just stay on that negative, but
Mhm.
instead say, "Yeah, you know what? It wasn't." So I hear you say like, "Oh, it was a 95, not 100." It sounds to me like you still did pretty good, that you achieved a lot here. Yeah, but it still wasn't perfect. Oh, I wonder, where's that coming from?
Mhm.
How can you like but and like support yourself and this hypothetical other person in like
Mhm.
challenging the negative, not letting it just sit on the, yeah, it's not good enough for some reason.
Right. We are so harsh on ourselves and so much kinder and provide grace to other people, even if we're imagining it. I love that exercise for a variety of things. Um, and then, sometimes I'll also encourage people to keep a success log, or some people call it sort of a sparkle journal, but whatever you want to call it. But something where you're also keeping track of the positives, because my guess is for most of us, when you think back on, I don't know, a career, a time in your life, a lot of things that tend to stand out are the things maybe that didn't go well or the negatives. And it's hard for us to pull forward the things that really we're doing well and we accomplished and we feel good about. And even looking at that log or journal on occasion to say, yeah, that's right. That's that bit of reality testing that we can do to say, okay, objectively, I did do these things. So I think that can be helpful too.
Yes, building evidence. And I love that because oftentimes people will say, "Yeah, but like it wasn't good enough, and you want me to lie to myself, or you want me to like I could go forever in butting the butts. I will
Right,
always have a but to follow that
right,
but up with." And I'm like, "Okay, like not a fact. That
right,
thought is not a truism. That thought is a thought.
right.
Like I didn't do good enough. I'm knocking it down."
Mhm.
But that doesn't mean I will never do good enough, or that doesn't mean I couldn't do differently, or that doesn't mean I haven't learned from the situation.
Mhm.
Like there's
Mhm.
so much that you do that is successful. And
Mhm.
and some of it is even just noticing that like 95 is amazing. Like
Right,
that
right.
is a success. That needs to go in the column that helps you build up this evidence that you're doing good work. I'm mindful that we're getting close to time. I'm curious if you had like a takeaway that you wanted people to carry with them from this conversation, what would you encourage?
I think let's say you're taking a baby step towards challenging this way of thinking and what you're magnifying and focusing on. You could even start with, well, what if I just let that be true too? And so if you're not quite ready to let go of the negative or what you didn't accomplish, maybe even trying to make space for the and so yes, yes, I did not get 100, and I did really well at a 95.
Yes,
At least start with that step.
love it. And my brain goes to improv.
Yeah,
It's like I don't do improv, but I love improv. I
yeah.
think it's so creative, and I'm like, these people think so quickly on the spot. But that's this idea, right? Yes, ending yourself, like yes, end versus yes, but. if you're gonna do one of those, yes, and gives you an opening
Yeah.
for new adventures and new things. I love that so much.
Mhm.
My takeaway that I want people to carry with them is to really reinforce like butting the butts. Don't let the negative just sit and stew in that negative butt space. And like as a litmus test, asking yourself, are the thoughts that you're having, are they moving you toward your goal achievement or towards you feeling healthy? Are they moving you toward that in a productive, healthy kind of way? Because sometimes our thoughts, we think they're serving us,
Mhm.
like as that, I'm not getting complacent and I'm going to keep going because I'm crapping all over myself. Like, ah, is it really doing that? Or is it stealing your motivation? Is it making you feel really actually like de-energized and
Mhm.
demotivated? So noticing like but the buts, yes, and yourself, note your successes, and also like ask yourself if you're really clinging to these kinds of thoughts, what are they, how are they
Mhm.
serving you? Like what are they doing for you? I imagine they're not as productive as you think they are.
Mhm.
So,
Love that.
yeah, like as we wrap up, kind reminder for you all to please comment, like, subscribe to our channel, to these videos, and that you can always message us on YouTube, LinkedIn, our social media to make suggestions for future questions that you'd like us to discuss on this channel.